Hey everybody, it's Allison and Tyler with Fly My Kids, and today we're so excited to talk to you about our Costa Rica trip.
That we just got back from 7 months ago.
Yeah, we're a little bit late on this one, but that's okay. Hey, we've got 2 kids, and you know, it was such an amazing trip overall, and today we're really excited to talk to you about like some of our highs, some of our lows, why we picked Costa Rica. And so let's start off with like, why did we pick Costa Rica as our destination?
Yeah, so this was going to be our first trip abroad with both kids. So we wanted a direct flight from Atlanta. We wanted good weather. We wanted drinking water, English speaking, and it was only one time zone away. Eastern time.
So just for reference, at the time, we had a 3.5-year-old and a 5-month-old at the start of this trip.
So a 4-hour flight sounded like something we could tackle.
I said we'd cover some highs and some lows, and let's start with some of the lows.
It started low, ended high, I think.
Yes, exactly.
And it started low before we left.
Started low before we left. So like, let's do the zzz, where you rewind like 24 hours before the trip. About 24 hours from the trip, somehow Tyler was scrolling Facebook and sees that the Liberia airport is closed. Now, we ended up staying in a place called Playa del Coco on the northwest coast of Costa Rica in the Guanacaste province. One of the reasons we picked Playa del Coco was its proximity to Liberia airport, something Tyler and I are really like attuned to when we pick an accommodation, a place to stay, is how far is it from the airport. There's nothing worse than getting off of like a long flight or any flight and then having to drive like 2 hours somewhere or something crazy. So we were super excited that this house that we picked was only 30 minutes away. So when Tyler saw the Liberia airport was closed, it was so odd because we didn't have any notifications. We were flying Delta, like no notifications on Delta.
Yeah.
I think it was just on their Facebook page.
Yeah, it was like the airport's Facebook page said they were closed. And the reason why, by the way, is a little foreshadowing. There were potholes on the runway. So
yeah,
it was too dangerous for planes to land and, you know, break their landing gear off or something. So that's why it was closed.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got on the phone with Delta explaining to them that the airport was closed for our flight tomorrow morning. And so a lot of back and forth. And we decided ultimately that, well, we still want to make this trip happen. Why don't we fly to the other airport in Costa Rica, San Jose, which is the capital's airport. And on Google Maps, it was only going to be like a 4-hour drive from San Jose to the house we were going to be staying at. So it sounded reasonable.
It did. And we like were just so grateful, honestly, that we could like still leave when we were supposed to leave. We hadn't even packed until the day before, like till the night before, because at that point we were like, are we even going anywhere? Like, what are we doing? So we were packing until super late, hopped on a flight the next morning. Flight was smooth. Everything was great. We landed. I'll be really honest. I was pretty quickly surprised of like the sheer like chaos of the San Jose airport. After flying back out of Liberia, they could not be more different. I mean, it's just crawling with people, super busy. People were really nice and everything. It was just like...
It was chaotic.
It was very chaotic and like, to me, not very clear on where to go. And we rented a car for this trip, just knowing that in Costa Rica, like there wasn't really a public transport option that seemed feasible for us. And we would be doing some like little day trip excursions and things like that. So when we landed, we went and got our bags and went and took a bus over to Avis, to the rental car place. That was where the story really begins.
So we got our bags.
Yes.
At the baggage carousel. What we didn't get was our pack and play that was still spinning around.
Yes.
Which normally wouldn't be a big deal, but the chaos of this airport and how the Avis place was off-site, it was like, oh man, this is like a big screw up to have to eventually go back and get that.
It was a really like costly, time-wise error of us leaving the bags. Typically, we just do a count. Like we always are like, how many bags do we have for this trip? And we do a count. And I guess we just didn't. I mean, it was just crazy. Who knows? I was probably changing diapers. Like I had to stop and breastfeed. Like it was just very chaotic. So it also took like the traffic somehow, I guess, when we landed in San Jose, the traffic to get from San Jose to Avis was at least 40 minutes.
And we're talking like maybe a mile.
Yeah, we just sat on a bus. So I'm not gonna lie, like it was a pretty rough start, and unfortunately, like it only did kind of snowball and continue on. Once we got to Avis, I don't even remember what the problem was. It doesn't even matter. But Tyler was in line for a long time. And then there was like maybe they tried to give us a different car. I don't even remember what it was.
Yeah, it was like, you order a certain size car and they try to give you a little sedan, and it's like, no, like with car seats, blah blah blah. Like this isn't gonna work.
And I guess we did bring our car seats on this trip. We did. So just a thought. I think that there was like maybe Avis didn't have them or something, but we did wind up like packing our own car seats.
We brought our own car seats. They just were trying to give us like a rinky-dink car that wasn't
I know. I was just saying for like moms out there, we did bring our own car seats on this trip because I just think that there wasn't like great offerings available for them. So did bring our own car seats. Funny enough too, like if this wasn't an omen for like the driving experience in Costa Rica, when we walked into Avis, Tyler went and got in line. I was sitting outside. And there was another woman in her family there that like looked just like so sullen. Is sullen a word? I don't know.
Sad.
They just looked like so out of sorts, and they were like, "Oh, did y'all just get here? Did y'all just get to Costa Rica? Or are you going home?" And I was like, "Oh, like we just got here. Like, what about you guys?" And the mom, like the matriarch of the family, was like, "Go home, leave. Like you don't want to be here." Which I will say, I don't feel that way at all. Costa Rica is a lovely place, but bless her heart, like they had a really horrible experience driving. Come to find out, like
they had the opposite problem. Basically, their flight out of Liberia had been canceled, so they did the drive to San Jose that day. And they were trying to return their car, and like the bumper's falling off.
And there's a bunch of wires hanging under it, and so Avis was like, you're on the hook to pay for this, whatever. That's their story.
And they just missed their flight.
And I'm not gonna lie, like Tyler and I are pretty like confident drivers, and like, well, you more than me, but confident. Like, oh my gosh, like those silly people, like that's their problem. Pretty quickly, we got in the car and we were like, we 100% see how we could end up like bringing our car back dragging with wires. And I will say, like, that was kind of like, it did sort of haunt Tyler throughout the trip, like him being worried about like messing up our car.
I'm surprised we returned our car with its bumper.
Yeah.
The potholes were so bad, and I was so unprepared for that, not used to driving like that. My advice to anyone is, maybe don't drive in Costa Rica. As an American, I will never... Or
just maybe short distances. I think short distances... I think short distances would be okay. Like, we drove to and from the grocery store, and it was okay. To and from some restaurants. But I think, like, when you're starting to talk about some of these, like, you're going from the coast into the mountains, you're going from, going
around
really
different parts of the country.
I think for us... especially with kids, like that would be a no. Once we did finally get into our rental car, we had, again, what Google Maps had said was a 3.5-hour drive. We're in Georgia. We've lived in Atlanta, Houston, major cities. Like, we're thinking just like open highway, like, okay, no prob. Well, it's not like that, obviously. And that was honestly kind of naive and silly for us to think. Like, that's not a Costa Rica problem. We just mentally didn't know what we didn't know. So 4-hour road trip.
That wasn't our plan anyways. We had planned a different airport.
Also that, yeah. I mean, we didn't even have time to like Google the ride or anything. I mean, we found out we were going like 12 hours in advance that this was our new route. So the road trip was really rough. Like, I'm talking rough. Like, I was kind of crying in the back, stressed because it was dark and the kids were screaming because they were tired. And, we share this with you not because Costa Rica isn't lovely and we didn't have a lovely trip, which we'll talk about our highs. But, I think it's so important. And one thing that like Tyler and I talk about is like telling the authentic story and really like the full scope of a trip. And it's not just like, here are the few great things to do in Costa Rica that were so great. It's like, no, I was pumping in the back, crying while my 5-month-old was screaming because it was like way past his bedtime and it was pouring down rain. I mean, is it worth it for us? Absolutely. But like, these are the moments you have. And I will say, I think that road trip would have been stressful even without kids. But you parents know out there, like when kids are upset or crying or unhappy, like when you're dealing with them, that like adrenaline and stress level, your heart rate is through the roof in those moments, even more so. But that's kind of why we share some of these lows.
Yeah, it's not just the Instagram photos. Like, that was white knuckle driving that I'm surprised we made it.
Yeah, we made it. We made it really late, and we chose to stay in a house on this trip. We always like to talk about like hotel versus Airbnb, and for this trip, we really wanted just like our own space as a family of 4. I wanted to be able to like put my oldest in his own bedroom so that he could sleep better. Flash forward, he did not, but that was our hope. And I think another thing, we really wanted a pool right there. Reason being is like something to think about in a resort, as lovely as it is that like you're not cooking and all of those amenities. When you have multiple kids napping, somebody's got to be in the room.
Yeah.
So yes, you can nap with your baby on you at the pool. Totally get that. But what was so nice is we just brought our monitor, and like our kid could be napping inside, and Tyler and I could actually be like enjoying a drink out at the pool together. Or at night, the kids would go to bed, and like he and I would hang out at the pool and be able to spend just some solo time together.
But we actually rolled the pack and play out on the patio
and
by
let
the
him
pool.
nap in like the fresh air. Yes.
A lot more options than you would have at a resort where like you're kind of separated.
Yes. Well, and one of the reasons we just chose Costa Rica in general was just that we wanted like a lazy kind of vibe. Like I didn't want a ton of activities. I didn't want a ton of excursions. Like we just wanted to kind of chill. So when I tell you that like we spent most of our trip in the pool, I mean it, because our baby loved the pool and our son loved the pool. But it didn't start out that way. So I don't want this video to seem negative, but I do feel like it's probably important for us to back up a little bit, talk about the house or houses in that experience.
So we were looking at places. I actually found the house on Airbnb or Vrbo, I don't remember. But I actually, you can, each house has like its own like name that the owner's given it. I Googled that name and found the house for less money, actually directly through like the property management company. So
it's a good tip because there's less fees.
It was less expensive. Yeah. And booking through their website, it was clear that the pool was heated, and for like, we were going to be there, like a week. For an entire week to heat the pool was going to be like $150. I checked that drop down, paid for it. I was like, that's going to be great. We've got little kids. It's kind of a shoulder season.
It wasn't that hot. It's important to say when we were there.
Yeah, the rainy season was ending.
Yeah.
So I was like, no matter what, at least the pool's going to be comfortable for the kids, and we're going to have a lot of fun in the pool. We got there.
We get there that night and we check in, and they are so lovely. Like there's a concierge checking us in. She could not be any nicer.
Yeah, they waited up because we got there super late.
They waited up. I mean, truly, like when I talk about true hospitality with this group, it was like above and beyond, I think, what we could have ever hoped for. Also, one thing that was wonderful about this company, which I guess we can put them in the link. Zendis. Was that they had an ability to stock your fridge before you got there, which was so nice, because the first morning that we woke up at this house, like we had pancakes and eggs, and
we had some Cheerios, we had some milk.
Yes, like we had just some staple items. So she was walking us through that, and pretty quickly, like we're out here at the pool, and Tyler kind of sticks his toe in, and was like, "Oh, it's chilly. Like, how does the heater work?" And she was like, "There's no heater on the pool."
Yeah, she said, "What heater?
What heater? Like it's not a heated pool." And so, she said she would look into it, like let me go double check, but it was very clear that like she knew she was right. She's been managing this house for a long time. Tyler spent hours that night just like poking around, trying to be like, was there a way to, like, is there something I'm missing or whatever? And so that was kind of the way we kicked off our first night there.
Yeah. So next morning we wake up, our oldest is excited to get in the pool. It's pouring down rain. The pool's freezing. He's just out there shivering.
He did it anyways, but he was like, his teeth were chattering, not for long. And there was like no way that the baby could get in. No. Like he's 5 months. He's huge now.
We couldn't get it. It was unbearably cold.
Yeah, it was really, really cold.
And we were really disappointed because like this was kind of the whole point of the trip, was some great family outdoor time.
Not having to leave the house. Yeah. So it was a big deal. It was disappointing. And pretty quickly, Tyler heard from the property manager that morning, like, hey, it's not heated. They kind of have an email exchange back and forth on like, we really expected it to be heated, and not only did we expect it to be heated, but like we actually paid an additional charge for it to be heated. It was
a question, and I paid extra for it.
So conversations were had, and when I say conversations, I genuinely mean like really like nice dialogue. Like they were, because they were so gracious, and like we didn't want to be naggy about it, but at the same time, like it was super disappointing just because that was truly like kind of the crux of our trip. But long story short, they did end up, I guess 2 days later, we spent 2 nights in the first house. They did move us to a house that did have a heated pool that was thankfully in the same neighborhood, and ended up being so wonderful. And
it was a nicer house.
It was a nicer house.
It was less expensive.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, they heated that pool.
It was like a jacuzzi. It was excellent. And we lived in it. It was amazing. And so
I guess the crux of that, if we're going to mention their name, sometimes it's not that things can't go right, but it's how you handle it when it does. And Zindis did a great job of
They were above and beyond. And we just could not have been more thankful for them. I mean, just to like tell you, this company, they sent someone out, like the new property manager at the home that we moved into, came out, made us like authentic Costa Rican coffee, brought a little stuffed animal
for Wyatt,
for Wyatt, our oldest son. He brought some like fresh fruit and chopped up mangoes for us. I mean, truly, like, which we didn't expect that to be a part of what we were getting at all. It's just like goes to show like Costa Rican hospitality. And I do feel like it's so nice when you come to a country with your kids. I think one of the fear as parents when we travel is like, are our kids going to disturb people, or like, how are other people going to perceive us as a family? And it's always so heartwarming when you go to a country where everyone is like loving on your children, loving your children, and engaging with them. And I feel like Costa Rica was incredible. Like the people, the hospitality just all around was wonderful.
And I think that's really the end of the lows as far as the trip. It was really uphill from there.
I would say actually one other low.
Okay.
It's really expensive.
It is.
It is expensive. And I think
expensive, we're talking about groceries being expensive, dining out is expensive. Yeah, it's you're not getting a bargain.
We spent a lot of time at the pool, but we did do a few excursions. And so I want to share about those a little bit. One of the first ones we did was Diamante Eco Adventure Park. And this is one of like our bad driving days. It said 30 minutes on Google Maps. It was about an hour and a half to get there. And it's really like a zoo, essentially. I mean, that's what it is. It's a zoo. It's more known for like a huge zip lining thing, which did look huge and like kind of cool, I guess. But to be quite honest,
with young kids, it's essentially just a zoo.
With kids our age, like I'd probably skip it if I were going to go back. I mean,
the reason I would skip it isn't that the kids didn't like it or anything. But again, coming back to the driving, I'm surprised we made it there and back without breaking an axle. That I was so frustrated and worn out by how taxing driving was that I couldn't enjoy myself there knowing that I had to do that on the way back.
Yes. But our son did love it. Like our 3.5-year-old.
Yeah,
I mean, they had snakes and lizards and all the things. Like he absolutely loved that. Another excursion that we did, I guess really the only other like bigger excursion we did, we went to Palo Verde National Park. And for this, we actually hired a driver. And I think it's also important to say that Zindis, the property management company, they actually like gave us these ideas. So leading up to our trip, they emailed us and they were like, who are you traveling with? Like, what kind of things do you want to do? And they kind of helped point me in the right direction on some like kid-friendly ideas. And we hired the person, but like they coordinated the logistics of us getting picked up by a driver and going to Palo Verde because it was further away than Diamante. So they recommended a driver. I would not go unless I had a guide. Not only was it a long drive, we also saw very quickly that like, local Costa Ricans, like they know how to navigate the roads, and we got there so much faster. But also Palo Verde is pretty nondescript. Like we drove up and they had just recently had a massive flood like problem. So that was part of the reason why I think maybe it looked like this at the time. But like we would have never known where to go. You just kind of pulled up into a swamp.
No, you would have been using Google Maps on like a dirt road through
Yeah.
the jungle.
We would have
and
never
ended up
found
at
it.
like a muddy river and thought, I don't know if
Yes.
this has been a waste.
So we pull up to kind of a swamp, but our guide waves to a guy. There's like 2 docks and a little boat. And we get on the boat and it's a crocodile tour. It was like 2 hours, I think. And it was so much fun. It's not even like that, oh my goodness, it's the most beautiful scenery you've ever seen. Like, it's pretty for sure. There's beautiful wildlife, there's beautiful birds, there's so many crocodiles, but like, our guide did such an amazing job of
Really did.
making it fun for our son. Like, for a 3.5-year-old to be engaged for 2 hours, and he was zeroed in.
Yep.
He had so much fun. The weather was beautiful. He learned about all different types of birds and wildlife in the areas. He saw baby crocodiles. Like, it was like a 10 out of 10. I feel like
It was
just
a 10 out of
seeing
10.
him.
The park itself, but also the guide, not having to drive.
Yes.
Even the drive there, do you remember he'd pull over at like a sugarcane field and
Yeah.
like, use his machete, which Wyatt thought was like the coolest thing ever, and like chop down some sugarcane, and like Wyatt
Yeah.
got to taste it. Like
It was really cool.
The whole arc of that day was great, and it was because we had a great guide.
It was. And after that, he had already set up a nice place for us to go to lunch, which was like really beautiful out there. Wyatt saw like iguanas everywhere. We were in the bathroom and iguana like ran by our leg. Like, it was really a nice day. And something that we always talk about in our like videos about traveling with kids is like having those, yes, like have a long day in there, but then buffer it by like having a more chill day. And so we had a day or two of just kind of chilling at the house. And so we were like up and ready, I think, to get out of the house that day, which came at a nice time, I think.
It did.
Yeah, I want to talk some about highs.
Okay.
Let's end on a high note. Our house, our second house, was amazing. I mean,
I still
we
think
still
about
want to
that
go
house.
back to it.
I might copy and paste that house as my dream home someday. It was beautiful. The view was incredible. The pool, even though it was really small, you'll see in some photos or videos, it worked out really, really great for our needs. It was warm. Yeah, I could retire at that house.
Yes. We also had a chef come over one night. So again, organized through Zendesk, but it doesn't really count as an excursion, but
it was something to look
it was
forward to
something to
all
look
day.
forward to. And our son still talks about it.
Yeah.
He like actually does still remember it. He talks about it.
And so
And
share about
Zendesk-
booking this chef, kind of like you pick a
They sent me they sent us a bunch of menus to essentially choose from that had per person pricing. I know we said that like Costa Rica was pretty expensive. I honestly think we would have spent just the same amount of money if we had like bought these items ourselves, just because it was so much food. But we chose kind of like a barbecue style, like, I guess not barbecue in the sense of like what us Georgians would say barbecue, but
Like chicken
on the grill,
skewers.
chicken skewers, shrimp skewers, this rice. He made this like beautiful pineapple bowl. Like, it was absolutely delicious. He brought all the things, then cleaned all the things, set out the table. And it was nice because we really were cooking like 90% of the time on this trip. We didn't do a lot of eating out. And so that was definitely like
and it
one
allowed
of
us-
my favorite, if not my favorite moment of the trip, actually, my favorite night.
It was a lot of fun. He was great to talk to, but also the play didn't stop. We could just keep playing in the pool with the kids.
Yes.
And, dinner's on the grill. Get to sit down and have this amazing meal. He even made like hand cut like French fries.
Oh, yes,
Like-
for the kids.
Yeah, and like a pot of oil. Like, it was like, wow, this is like really special. And there was no cleanup. Like, he cleaned
Yeah,
up.
it was nice because we were kind of cleaning a lot of dishes on this trip.
Yeah. So that was a highlight. It was great food, great vibes. I would definitely highly recommend that.
I want to keep it real too about just like the sleep on this trip. It's one of those things where you just kind of never know what to expect with your kids' sleep anyways, but like our kids slept pretty bad on this trip.
You would have thought there was a big time change.
You would have thought. So it just kind of goes to show, like, I don't know, take your kids to Japan. Maybe a 15-hour time difference is not that different than a 1 hour. I mean, a 5-month-old, like, obviously already doesn't sleep that well, but even our 3.5-year-old, like, woke up at 5 a.m. every day. I mean, I can't tell you how many mornings, like, he had already been in the pool for 2 hours at 8 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that was one of the reasons that we chose the house, is because, like, he could get in the pool that early, even though it was still only like 72 out or not that hot. He could already be in the pool and enjoy himself. And I would just sit holding the 5-month-old like our baby in a pool chair and watch him play, which was really, really nice. Like we enjoyed that. We also just watched movies together a couple nights, which was really fun. We did some food pickup at restaurants nearby. Like there was a club down,
kind of in the neighborhood we were staying
kind of in the
at.
neighborhood, which was nice. Like again, it was really just all in all a very low key trip, which is what we were looking for.
What we were hoping for. The excitement came from flight, car,
Yes.
and original, housing issue. But once that was behind us, actually, there's one other anecdote I'll share. I think it was like maybe our first full night there. I was going to cook hot dogs on the grill.
Oh yes.
Y'all, I've made a lot of hot dogs in my days. But I put them on the grill and I came back a few minutes later and it's like Chainsaw Massacre. Like they just all blew up. They just blew up in the grill. And so anyways, I tried doing it again because luckily I had like 2 packs of hot dogs. And I noticed the same things happening, but like I'm trying to manage it better. We're already tired. We're kind of disappointed with how the trip's going so far. Allison starts to eat her hot dog. And
I'm just chewing so much.
Just so much chewing.
So much chewing.
And she's like, "Are you sure you cooked them right?" And I'm like, "Yes, of course I know how to make a hot dog." Like, kind of frustrated. Y'all, there was something not right about them. Like, it was inedible, completely inedible. And anyways, come to find out, in Costa Rica, not only are the hot dogs like in a plastic wrapper, but each individual hot dog is in its own plastic wrapper. And you actually have to like kind of like slit it open and like take it out.
Yeah, Costa Rican hot dogs.
We were eating some plastic for dinner.
That's what I was gnawing on for a long time. Thankfully, I did not like actually ingest it, but
hey, if anyone's ever going to cook hot dogs in Costa Rica, just know you have to individually unwrap each hot dog. That it's not like some natural casing, like that is plastic. We hope you enjoyed our recap of our trip to Costa Rica. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. It helps others find the channel and keeps you updated on our next adventure and any tips we learn along the way. Thanks.